This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update. The Packers back home after falling to their preseason opener last night, 28-9 in Pittsburgh. Green Bay's only scoring came courtesy of 3 Trace Mack field goals, including one from 58 yards. Actually hit 2 from 58, but only one counted due to a penalty. While the offense struggled to find a ton of success, the game did provide Marshawn Lloyd an opportunity to be on the field for the first time since his rookie season. Running back had 13 yards on 4 carries.
Yeah, I felt good. Felt good. Honestly, it's just getting back into it. I mean, that was something that knocking the rust off. Practice is good. It's good to practice, but you're not getting hit like you are in a real game. So I thought, yeah, exactly. So I think that's them having a great defense. Honestly, it was a good testament of everything that's been happening.
Packers back in the field for practice tomorrow morning in Green Bay. Their next preseason game comes a week from today in Denver against the Broncos. Turn to the Badgers. They finished up the second week of fall camp this morning with another practice. They're just a little more than 3 weeks out from the start of their season against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Brewers and Dodgers will continue their series tonight out in L.A. Milwaukee took the opener last night, scoring 3 runs in the ninth to shock the Dodgers, snap a 3-game losing streak, allow them to build their lead in the AL Central back to 4 games on the Cubs. Again, Crew and Dodgers tonight out west. First pitch is set for 9:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
See if Smack can turn it into points. Made one from 58 earlier, didn't count. This one from 58 does count, and it's good. And the 6th-round pick, the rookie, with an outstanding kick. Very emotional about that. 7-6 now is the halftime score. Maybe the biggest win of the year for the Brewers. They come back. 3 runs in the 9th. McGill slams the door.
All right, fins up. It's Friday, the Wisco Sports Show. 2 highlights from last night. Pretty busy night in Wisconsin sports. Better than I anticipated. It's not that I don't love my Brewers. It's not that I don't believe in them. I would not bet I wouldn't have bet a large sum of money that they were going to win that game last night, especially in the 5th or the 6th. But even going into it, it's like a drawing. You couldn't win a game, with Dustin May giving you a career great outing. You couldn't win a game with Logan Henderson doing what he did on Monday. I mean, are you really going to win? Of course, because it's baseball. Of course they were going to win the Shane Drowan game, and of course they were going to, come back from 2 runs down late in the game, even though the only runs that they've really scored all week have been solo shots and, just little things here and there. And the only 2 runs they had scored last night until the 9th were walked in by Roki Sasaki, who was having one of his, Roki Sasaki type moments. So that's what's on the table tonight. We'll go back and forth between the Brewers and the Packers. I think there's both things from both of those contests that are absolutely worth talking about. And secondarily, also interesting, a little bonus content that has appeared, that has been handed down to us since the conclusion of Bill's show. I was filling in 10 to 2 today. Matt LaFleur spoke this afternoon, and mostly it was boring. It was mostly a press conference, but he said something very bizarre about Aaron Banks at left tackle. So we had a good plot for tonight's show this afternoon. We thickened it. We made it even better. So I'm going to give you that comment from Matt LaFleur at some point. I want to start with the Brewers, but we can go wherever you want. It's a Free Phones Friday, so I'll come to you first segment if you're ready, 608-321-1670. But as we maybe fill up the phone lines and you get ready for your takes tonight, I will give you my opening take on the Brewers. I think that was the biggest win of the season. Now, I don't keep perfect records. I don't keep a diary of actually, probably more so than most. I have a Google Doc every single day of doing the show with my thoughts. So you know what? I do keep a diary. As much as anyone keeps a diary about the Brewers season, I actually do. I keep pretty detailed records. I can't think of a game that felt more important. I can think of games and wins that were more impressive. I can think of plenty of games where they played better. I don't know if I can think of a result that meant more to the team at the time the result was earned. And for as much complaining, and I apologize, I've been on the radio 6 hours by myself the last couple of days. I've been going a little crazy. I apologize if I have been a little taxing talking about the Brewers. I've probably done a lot of complaining. I've probably done a lot of bitching. But in my defense, so I do a segment on how the Brewers are playing poorly. And then I get texts on the text line or on Bill's show, especially because they're used to Bill. And it's funny, Bill will hammer the Packers a lot harder than I will. Bill doesn't hammer I'm always hammering the Brewers. Bill has a very, very even keel perspective about the Brewers. Got a lot of comments last couple of days hosting for Bill. It's like, oh, we're going to talk about the Brewers. Are we going to be negative about the Brewers again today? And mostly I just ignore those comments because what are you going to do? But I always want to respond, well, did they win last night? Did they start playing better? Then we're probably going to hammer them today. You know what I mean? Then we're probably going to complain. So I've been pretty negative this week, probably more so than most of you wanted. But even throughout the negativity this week, if you go and you really parse through some of these games, the Brewers have shown little signs of life. I'm not going to go back into the Padres series, but last night you could see little moments, even when they were up 2-0, or even when it was tied 0-0, or even later into the game when they were trailing, you could find these little moments. Like, for example, Christian Yelich got a hit with runners in scoring position last night. Hey, how about that? It just didn't matter in that moment because the runner in scoring position was Gary Sanchez, who's the slowest runner on the team. So when you're slumping, when a team is struggling, things tend to go that way, where even when you get a hit with runners in scoring position, for whatever reason, it doesn't lead to a run. Or when they've hit home runs over the last week, and they don't hit a lot of home runs, but they've had a couple this week. It's a solo shot. No one's on base. Of course, that's the moment where Jackson Churio hits his home run. Forget about the other 5 or 6, what feel like huge at-bats he's had in the last week with runners on and big moments where he hasn't come through. The one at-bat, of course, he does come through, and is the one where there's nobody on base. And part of that is timely hitting and, meeting the moment as an athlete. But part of it is just luck. Like baseball, you do have, to a certain extent, in 5 or 10 at-bats, you're going to get a couple hits. You're going to take a couple of walks. And while good athletes can choke up on the bat and lock in with runners, there's a little bit of that, but a lot of it is you're going to get some hits. Might be a little random when they take place. It might have to do with the pitcher on the mound that gives you a good matchup, and maybe you get the good matchup with runners on, or maybe you get the good matchup with no runners on, and you get a big hit, and it doesn't do anything for you because there's nobody on base to knock home. And I think the Brewers over the last week, you can find some balls that have been hit hard that went right to defenders, which I don't fully excuse, but come on, I'm not a complete jerk. I can look at a really hard hit line drive that just happens to be right at someone and say, well, it's a little bit of bad luck. They've had hard hit balls. They've had home runs. And even last night, Christian Yelich with a hit with runners in scoring position. Good Lord, has Jesus returned? But of course, that hit with runners in scoring position came with Gary Sanchez at second, so it doesn't score a run. So I think over the last couple of days, you can see little moments where it's like, there's something good. But when a team is struggling and slumping and seemingly not catching any breaks, those moments sometimes aren't strung together, or they don't come in they're not well timed. Timing is everything, not just in baseball, but in life. They're also really hurt. Last night there was a play, and I tweeted about this because I thought it was funny last night. And I got a bunch of people up my butt. Why will you stop whining? Why will you stop complaining? Here's what happened. So Andrew Vaughn, with 1 or 2 outs, makes a play ranging to his left, throws over to first. Not the world's hardest play, but if you're not a third baseman, airs in the throw a little bit. Gary Sanchez has to come off the bag, and he can't quite lay the tag. And then on the next play, with a runner at first, there's a line drive hit to right field, and Jake Bauers makes a really nice play ranging back. And I tweeted, and I kind of laughed. In fact, I have to read the tweet because I'll give myself a headache if I try to do this from memory. Luckily, the first baseman who's playing right field was able to pick up the other first baseman who's playing third base, who made an error throwing to the catcher playing first base. So you have a first baseman in right, a first baseman at third, a catcher at first, a third baseman at second because David Hamilton's playing, because Bryce Terang is out. It's like, so they're hurt. They've been scuffling. They've had lots of bad luck. And last night, all the credit in the world to Joey Ortiz, who's right now pretty load-bearing for the team, like someone you're counting on. And he put together a couple good at-bats last night. He had great feel working the count, against Roki Sasaki. I thought the contrast was stark. So Contreras has an at-bat. Sasaki doesn't have it. Contreras gets up there, and he's chasing balls out of the zone. Joey Ortiz gets up there and realizes, like all of us do watching the game, it was clear to see, Sasaki didn't have it. And Sasaki He's got a lot of talent, but he's a little, I don't know. I'm a baby, so I can say this. Roki Sasaki's a little bit of a baby. And you can see when he throws a bad pitch or an uncompetitive pitch, like a Freddie Peralta style ball, like a big time miss, he'll go, like you'll see he's emoting out on the mound. And I think Joey Ortiz got up there and said, well, this guy doesn't have it. Why am I going to swing? Why am I going to swing out of my shoes here? And he just watched 4 straight, took a walk, like really good at bat. In the 9th inning, it would have been easy. Down 2 runs, teams beat up, nothing's going their way. Would have been easy to kind of fold. Joey Ortiz battles pretty nicely, takes a ball up the middle or slightly to the opposite field. I can't remember. I was sleep deprived in the middle of the night. And started a rally, pass the buck to the next guy. That's Brewers baseball. Okay. So really nice win last night. And there are still things plaguing this team, most notably health. They got to get healthy. They got to hope that the Bryce Terang absence isn't long. Contreras is still slumping. He's got to figure that out. I think he's really hurt the team with his pitch calling. Last night, he hurt the team because he took an outfield assist from Jackson Churio that should have been the final out at home plate. Couldn't squeeze it. So, of course, it's a run. Like, Contreras just needs a day off. He's in a tough spot. They got to fix that. Yelich hasn't been awesome, but showing signs of life. Like, they're still slumping. They still have issues. They still have injuries. But hopefully, if nothing else, last night served as just a little bit of a pressure release. Just everyone go and relax a little bit, which is what Jake Bauers said the other night after the game. And to Jake Bauers' credit, after their blown loss to the Padres the other day, comes out and says, look, we got to chill the F out. We need to relax. We need to take a deep breath. We need to just calm down. And what does Jake Bauers do the next day? He hits the go-ahead RBI in the 9th inning. And I think there's something nice about a player who can speak for the clubhouse in the locker room, can deliver a message that is, with respect to William Contreras and Christian Yelich, different than that's baseball, which is normally what you hear from Yelich and Contreras. It's very Counselian. It's very Craigian, Craig Counsell. That's baseball. It's a long season. You're going to have that. True. But when you're in the middle of one of those stretches, is it healthy and is it productive to just wallow and to say, we're going through it right now, that's baseball? Or is it better or maybe more productive to do what Jake Bauers did, which is give an actual comment about, man, we just need to calm down. And then not only does he, again, speak for the clubhouse and provide a little bit of a message that's different than, well, it's baseball. He comes out the next night and he provides the go-ahead RBI in the 9th inning. So a really impressive Brewers win last night. And most importantly, I don't know if they're going to win tonight. Robert Gasser versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto is not my favorite pitching matchup in the world for my team. Like, I don't know. They're not going to be favored tonight. I don't know. But basically what last night did is gives the Brewers an opportunity at the very least to split the series with the Dodgers if they're just able to get one more, and they'll have Miz and Henderson on the mound after tonight, right? So you feel good, knock on wood, I don't mean to jinx them. You feel good about your ability to just get one more. And I think coming into this Dodgers series, we all would have said, okay, swept by the Padres. If you just split with LA, if you just split, well, winning game 1 and stealing that game at the end last night, if nothing else, puts you in a great spot to split the series. And if you can play 2 great games behind either Gasser, Mizorowski, or Henderson, then maybe you can even take the series. And wouldn't that be some nice wind at your sails? Hopefully, as you start to get healthier, still unsure about the prognosis from Bryce Terang. Hopefully, as you start to stop slumping a little bit, like, good God, Contreras at some point, like, I have my beliefs about the player, and he's certainly not perfect, and he's certainly flawed, but he's not this. He looks lost. He looks like Joey Ortiz did earlier this year. Looks terrible. So they still have, some slumps and some kinks to work through, but last night hopefully allows them to go, just take a deep breath. I think they needed that. Honestly, I think I needed it. I think Bills showed it. They needed it. Do you know how much better I was filling in for Bill Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if I haven't brought that up enough? Do you know how much better the 10-2 show was today because the Brewers won that game? I would have gotten through it just fine. Again, I think I'm a little bit of an outlier from Wisconsin sports talk. I have no problem coming to the studio every day and beating the living pulp out of a team that's not playing well. It does not bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. If the Brewers lose 10 games in a row, I have no problem coming in here for 10 days straight and just taking a fat dump on them and criticizing. It doesn't bother me. I have no problem with that. I find it entertaining and enjoying and fun because at the end of the day, I know we're all Brewers fans. We still want them to win. I think some of you get a little worn out by the negativity, which is fair. You're the one listening to this show. I don't have to listen to it. I just have to host it. But do you know how much better today feels? It feels better for us. Imagine how much better it feels for the guys in that clubhouse where I imagine it was getting very stuffy, where it was getting very stressed. And that couldn't have been made easier by this injury to Bryce Trang, which Pat Murphy says is day-to-day. But it's funny. Pat Murphy says, well, he's day-to-day. I don't think it'll need surgery, and he might even play this weekend. Okay, for me, day-to-day means he probably won't play tomorrow, but will probably be back the next day, 3 days at the latest. That's what day-to-day means to me. I think day-to-day for Pat Murphy means I have no clue. So I wish he would just say that. But then again, I think we know how to interpret and translate Pat Murphy's message sometimes. So that's my opening thought on the Brewer game. I have some thoughts on the Dodgers. I do have some more thoughts on William Contreras and kind of what's going on there. More thoughts on Jake Bauers. So a lot of Brewers items on the table. Packers preseason game last night. We can also discuss that, of course, or whatever else. You want to talk Badgers? Sure, whatever. It's a Free Phones Friday. Let's take a call here. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Oh, hey, Grant. It's Clemhead Mike. How
Good
you doing?
evening, Clemhead. You're a voice for sore ears.
Thanks. It's been a while.
No kidding.
I know that I really enjoyed your taking a dump on the Dodgers today. I just enjoyed the hell out of that. And I hope you do it again today.
I was going to say, we might have to reprise that for a couple of minutes tonight.
Yeah.
We might have to circle back. We have to turn the car around back over him again.
Right. I missed the game last night. First game I've missed in a long time. I did watch the highlights. But Garrett Mitchell, did he? How many third strikes did he watch go right down the middle of the plate? Because I tell you, that's been a real problem with this guy lately. I think you alluded to it earlier this week, or maybe last week, that he's letting a lot of third strike pitches just sail right by. You said, swing, just swing. It's like he's got a pretty good eye. I mean, it's better than just watching it go by. Even if you fly out or something, just swing at the damn ball. It's right down the middle of the plate. I don't know what's his problem. He's just scared. He's scared.
Maybe I think he's well, he's slumping a little bit. Get in line, right, on this team, and I think he's second guessing a little bit. Now he's a more picky swinger as it is. Like even when he's going well, he's gonna watch a lot of pitches. Which, by the way, is why his chase rate is so damn low. It's because he doesn't swing that often. So like, yeah, he's got a great eye, and he doesn't swing it because he doesn't swing a whole lot. But last night, like he got into one off Sasaki. This is one of these batted balls where it's like, didn't get over the fence, but like that's a really struck by. He hit one to dead center, and Pa has tracked it down right at the base of the wall. And now I want to pull up the numbers, but like Mitchell smoked one last night. Hopefully, because he's the type of guy who can straight up win you a game. He's done it a couple of times this year where he hits 3 balls hard in a game and makes one defensive play, and he can kind of win a game on his own if it's close. And they miss him because he helped really power this offense for about a month in the middle of the summer, and they're missing him right now.
Well, yeah, he may be overthinking it on a normal at bat. Maybe, when the pressure's on, maybe he's not overthinking it. He's just going to go up there and try to whack the ball and do something great. But yeah, I just get a little tired of watching pitches go by, and he's not the only one. Contreras has let quite a few go by, and it's getting to be kind of a chronic problem. I can't believe their pitching coaches aren't on top of this. There's another thing they need to be doing. I mean, hitting coaches, I'm sorry. Remember the assistant hitting coach, the Brewers, had a lifetime 218 batting average. Vogelbach, don't forget that.
Yeah. I think a lot of these hitters are flawed, Clemhead. So Garrett Mitchell's going to swing and miss a lot. He's going to look at a lot of strikes. Churrio's going to chase. Contreras is going to hit a lot of ground balls. So a lot of these, and most hitters have some sort of a flaw. I think when the whole team is slumping, all of these flaws individually just get exacerbated. So you're seeing some of the worst tendencies in some of these hitters right now kind of laid bare. And hopefully if the team gets a little juice, maybe last night is a good start, you start to see guys work through that a little bit. Hopefully.
Yeah. Grant, you got a wonderful vocabulary there. That was some good stuff.
Well, give it about 40 minutes. I'll run out of gas slightly before 5 o'clock is normally how it goes. My second cup of coffee.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm looking forward to tonight's game. So, I'm not going to miss it. What I do is I record them. I record them on the Spectrum app on my TV, and then I watch them later.
Commercial
and then
free.
I skip so much I can make that game, down to an hour and a quarter, hour and a half, and that's the only way to do it. I do that with Packers games too.
Well, last night, if you recorded last night, just skip to the 9th. You won't miss anything. Just skip to the last 10 minutes. That's good stuff. You'll get there. And hey,
exactly.
Enjoy the weekend, Clement. It was nice to talk a couple times today.
You too. Have a great vacation. I hope you have a good time and just forget about work for a while.
Thank you. I will be safe. I'll make good choices. I won't do anything you wouldn't do. Yeah, I'll be off next week, fishing trip, and then I'll be back. Which, by the way, before we take a break, not that this is that important, but I guess it's important enough for me to bring up. I was going to take tonight off. On Monday. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take Friday. I'm going to leave early, because I'm flying out tomorrow morning. I'm going to leave early Friday. I'm doing Bill's show, and then I thought, you know what? Packers preseason game on Thursday. I should really be there. And I'm glad because last night's Brewers game is significant and it gives us a lot that we haven't recently had in terms of things to discuss. So I'll take more of your phone calls next. Really quick break. Let's get this in here. 608-321-1670 to you next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Word.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show fins up. It's Friday. Curt Hogg, Journal Sentinel, is going to join us to talk about biggest Brewers win of the season coming up at the bottom of the hour, 4:35. Huge moment. He's out in L.A. Nice enough to give us a couple of minutes. Let's take a call here first. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Bills, what a win. Nice to hear you on a Friday afternoon. Thank you for sticking it out for us.
Of course. Of course. Honestly, you want to know something, Cone, between you and me? When I consider whether or not I should kick off early for an event or something on a weekend, normally my first thought is, okay, if I do this, am I going to be able to justify this to Cone? What would Cone think? WWCT is normally my first thought.
That is just awesome to hear. You know, when Cone Roller was born, it was about holding sports radio personalities accountable. So it's nice to know that, you know, some of that mission is being completed.
You do a very good job of that, Cone. It's appreciated. And as I told you last night, it's not only a Green and Gold Thursday as it was last night. It's also a Green and Gold Friday today. But I think the biggest story, and I didn't expect it, you know, in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning last night, is the Brewers. That win is massive. You're right.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either until I saw the Dodgers, the $1 billion Dodgers, bring out Edwin Diaz as their closer, coming off of elbow cleanup surgery. And then, you know, I felt a little jolt of life, and, you know, game ball goes to our guys, Joey Ortiz and David Hamilton, just stepped up big last night when we needed them. So shout out to those guys.
Joey Ortiz, I think he had 2 hits, or he had 1 hit and at least 1 walk. I was half asleep watching half of this game. The thing is, Cone, you're right. With Yelich slumping, and with Contreras slumping, and with Terang hurt, and just as banged up as they are, Joey Ortiz is one of the guys I look at where it's like, hey, you've been around a while, and you're playing the position you're supposed to be playing, right? Everyone else playing is either not that good or playing a position they shouldn't be playing. I almost weirdly look at Joey Ortiz right now and think, you know, something that is correct, something that's right. And I was very impressed with him last night. They don't win that game without him.
Yeah, I think that was biggest game of the year, biggest win, almost not quite a must win, but pretty dang close, and just awesome way to start off the series after getting swept. So.
Yeah, and hopefully a shot of life into the team. Cone, anything else?
Not much, Grant. I might have to retract all the smack I was talking on Trey Smack. He looked pretty good last night. But overall, very disappointing performance from the Packers. I know that it's preseason, but you know, anytime you go out and play a team in a different color jersey, you got to be trying to win. And I just didn't get that feel from Matt LaFleur. So I don't know, something to watch, I guess.
I would have appreciated Cone. Have a good weekend. I would like to have scored a touchdown. You know, does it matter? No, but I would have liked to score a touchdown. Yeah. Joey Ortiz with 2 hits, an RBI, and a walk. And I believe that RBI was on the walk. I just, of all the guys in the lineup where I'm like, all right, I think I can get a good at bat from this guy. I feel that way about Ortiz. I don't about Mitchell right now. I don't necessarily about Churio's such a mixed bag. Like that hit in the 9th that's what makes Churio. That's why he was the #1 prospect in baseball. That's why he was the guy who was paid before he ever played in the major leagues, is because he has that hand speed, arm speed, power, and bat control to go with a pitch that's breaking down and away, to be wrong on it, to kind of adjustment and just pop it into right field. Like that's Jackson Churio. But then you also get at bats where it's like, you weren't even close. Now I like Vaughn, but he's playing out of position. I like Sanchez, but man, he's a backup catcher playing first base. Joey Ortiz playing shortstop? That's something correct. That's something nice and neat and whole and right. And last night, I mean, he's got his average up to 246, which is not amazing. Although 246 in 2026 isn't exactly terrible. With the defense he plays, bottom of the order guy, and if he can do the competitive at bats like we saw last night, that helps the team win. They don't win that game without him last night. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's Brett from BONED. Well, guess who's working today?
Why do you talk like that, Brett? Are you working today? You're employed?
I am employed again, thankfully.
Okay,
and some of us work weekends, though, so sadly I got that the next 2 days, but it's fine.
Well, and that's not something that you're able to brag about on the show. If the show was on Friday, you could call in and talk about how you were working. So to be fair to you, you should get credit for that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I'm on break right now, so.
Oh, good. Excellent. Well, what'd you think of that game?
I was just going to say, of last night?
Brett, I'm losing you. Did your employer cut you off? Brett! There's something about his calls. I just can't, whether it's the connection, I just can't get in lockstep with that guy. But why does he answer the phone? Hi, Grant, it's Brett in Bondwell. He's the only human I've ever heard answer the phone like that. Congratulations on your employment. I don't know what it sounded like when I asked him what he thought of the game. He was surprised I was asking about the game. So I don't know what that means. I guess we'll never know. He's not calling back in, it would seem. So this seems like a natural time to take a break. Curt Hogg, Journal Sentinel, is going to join us next. We'll pick his brain on what he saw. He's out in L.A. He was watching last night's game. I would imagine he had to furiously be rewriting his story. All right, I'm a sucker. Brett and Bondwell, is this you calling back? Hello? Wisco Sports Show? Who's this? Hello? Oh, my God. All right. I'm not going to ban Brett and Bondwell. It's just... Okay, deep breath. Okay, Curt Hogg, Journal Sentinel, going to join us next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella and one trust everything with Pella. Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
We are lucky today. I'm glad it worked out. Our friend Curt Hogg, the Journal Sentinel, just putting out great story after great story this week. Brewers territory is outstanding. He's on the West Coast, and the timing is difficult, and he's traveling. Thank you for jumping on for a couple minutes, Curt. It's great to see you. Good morning.
Hi, Grant. I don't even have a complaint shtick for you coming on. I'm just tired, man. Yeah. I'm just tired, but it's great to be here. I'm happy to be on the show with you.
You are one of the few who knows what it's like to be in a clubhouse every day, right? And how it's its own unique
established
thing.
If you will.
You are an established clubhouse presence. So you tell us, in your experience, knowing how clubhouses work over the course of 162 games, what a win like that can do for a clubhouse that's been in the spot they've been in recently.
A win like that, and to win it in the fashion that they did, where like on one, like, okay, if you hit 4 homers, great. Unless that suddenly makes you a home run hitting team the rest of the way, and like guys are going to hit for power, I think you take the way it happened last night, where, look, when baseball players tell you that they all need to chill the F out and they're pressing as a team, then you believe them. You take them at their word that they're trying too hard. And I think it, like, especially when it matches with what the eye test is, it's always hard. It's kind of like tough to, when teams struggle with runners in scoring position, you're like, well, is it just baseball? Is it one of those baseball things? Or is there a symptom there that's hurting them? And in this case, it felt like there's too much, they're putting too much pressure on themselves, and they're really struggling in those at bats. And we saw it again early last night. And one win obviously doesn't fix everything. Like, it's baseball. You could lose a bad game tonight and struggle with runners in scoring position and be right back at it. But to have that win, I think, for the team is still big, when they're squeezing the egg a little bit, a little bit too tight, and then in the 9th inning to kind of let go of that a little bit and put together five really good at bats, 4 in a row. It's pretty big.
Yelich and Contreras have been struggling, and something I talked about last night is Yelich struggling to this level recently is almost a double-edged sword, because you miss his production. But I also, and I could be wrong about this, correct me, I think that probably doesn't hurt his ability to lead, but he's such an important part of that clubhouse where, like, you probably lose a little bit of that thing too. And then I read your story about Jake Bauers today and what maybe he is providing with Yelich and Contreras struggling the way that they've struggled. They've needed other guys, and not just their performance, but probably their voice as well. In what ways maybe Jake Bauers filled in a little bit there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much it's been like filling in, as opposed to like he has stepped into sort of this position all season. And then like when you start to produce, then it gets like, then players look at you, then you're a veteran, and then suddenly you carry some more cachet. But like, he's just got this very level-headed approach that like he does for himself. That's the main reason for it. But then when your team can't get a hit and your 2 highest paid guys are struggling, it's kind of the voice you need. And it was funny last night. Like Garrett Mitchell, Trevor McGill, Pat Murphy, they're all like, oh yeah, that's like up there for the best win of the year, because it was the most needed victory of the season. I don't even think it's close. But then Adam McCalvey asked that same question of Bauers, and Bauers is like, no, You can't look at it that way. That is sort of his mentality in a nutshell of this guy's not getting too high. This guy's not getting too low. And I don't think the team is getting too high or too low necessarily, but they were getting like kind of low.
Reasonably
They
low.
were getting kind of low. And sometimes you just need that guy. You need that guy to say, like, we got to chill the F out. And I don't know if like that is that, does saying it enough? You guys still got to do it, but like, I don't know. It's refreshing for me, at least. I like it as a soundbite. I like it as a quote. It helps with my stories. That's what matters.
Yes.
But also, it's this baseball world where, like, if things are bad and you just throw your hands up and you say, it's baseball. It's kind of refreshing in a way to see someone actually have an action step of like why they're sucking. Like, we can't hit with runners in scoring position because we're too stressed, Grant. We got to chill out.
Well, and I think, the crux of your story today at the Journal Sentinel is it's one thing for him to say that. It's another thing for him to say that and then come through the next night and deliver the hit, which I think solidifies his message and makes, maybe some of the younger players look to him even more. Curt Hogg is here, Journal Sentinel. How much is Trevor McGill, I don't want to say saved the Brewers' bacon in the bullpen, because I don't know that their bullpen has been actively bad. It hasn't been a disaster, but it's been shakier than I think you would lead to believe listening to Brewers fans. He has just been a rock on the back end. I didn't even think he'd be available last night, and he slammed the door in the biggest win of the year on the road.
Yeah, you're right. I was sitting there. I guess in hindsight, I'm sitting there in the ninth inning. I wasn't actually, because I was, again, about me, I was fiercely typing away at my little story.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I would have thought that might have been Abner's inning. McGill just got 5 outs yesterday. This is a large fellow, a guy who throws gas. Like, the recovery there is not great. I'm looking at his baseball reference page right now. He actually just that was his career high in innings, 48. He just says career high in innings on August 14th. He has been absolutely massive. 1.6 WAR is what baseball reference tells me. And I don't like pitcher WAR, but I do like it more for relievers on baseball reference. Sometimes like the numbers are a bit wonky, but at least I feel like it captures, like it matches what I feel like relievers, like that extra value of their leverage and pitching in close games. Like, if the Brewers did not have Trevor McGill, if he had not figured his stuff out after he was terrible early in the season and it lost the closer's job, I mean, they've probably won at least 3 fewer games, at least. He has been lights out. Abner has obviously been awesome too, but it just has felt like while the rest of the bullpen has ebbed and flowed and like certain guys are figuring their stuff out as it goes on, ebbs and flows, Grant. That's baseball. But McGill and Uribe have locked it down for the last 3 months consistently, steadily. And McGill's FIP is 164, Grant. Are you a big FIP guy?
Fielding, that's independent of fielding, right? Fielding independent pitching, or what does that stand for?
Your strikeouts, walks, and home runs. The 3 things, quote unquote, you can control. Yes. Although we know you can control quality of contact, but a little more, but nevertheless.
No, a lot of it is you hit the ball hard and then we'll see. Or as a pitcher, you get strikeouts.
That's baseball.
Yeah. It used to be you hit it where they ain't. You know what I mean? I used to read you would be Tom Hodrecourt's successor. I don't know what would that make Hodrecourt's to you? Your predecessor? I used to read your predecessor.
My journalism father.
Yeah, godfather of the state of baseball coverage in the state of Wisconsin. One last thing, and I don't mean this negatively. I'm genuinely asking your baseball opinion. How William Contreras? I understand the slumping at the plate. You can have a bad year. It's a little weird that it's happening this year when he's been banged up. You'd think it would be the opposite. I don't know why he's struggling at the other things, because pitch sequencing and calling, those are the finer details of baseball that like you should be able to improve on year after year. And it seems like he's really regressed, or maybe he's never been great and we're just noticing it this year. What are you seeing with him overall? Because he's struggling in just about every department right now.
Yeah, I don't think the pitch calling is like necessarily a new thing. I think it's one of those instances where when you're not hitting, we pay more attention to it. But yeah, it's just like I think he needs a day. He needs a day. Pat Murphy said yesterday, like, well, he's got to play through it. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe at the time that was true, but after he dropped the ball at home, like Jackson Chourio threw a seed. Finally, made a great defensive throw. And then they had him, and Contreras drops the ball. And then Pat Murphy commented last night about the fastballs to Muncy from Senzatella. Like, yeah, we needed to throw him a breaking ball. He was swinging at it. Like, yeah, absolutely. That's what I felt. Like he was all over these fastballs. So I do think we put things under the magnifying glass. I almost said the magnoscope. That's not a thing. The microscope in these situations when a guy is, 0 for 19 and his OPS is in the 500s going back to what, July. So it is a struggle right now. There is no denying that. No one is going to deny that. And like Gary Sanchez is playing great. He's kind of saved you in some ways. And there's a lot of baseball left. We know what William Contreras is capable of. He was just an all-star this year. But if it's like 4 weeks from now and the numbers haven't changed too much, then I don't think the narratives aren't going away. And it's going to be the new narrative is going to be like, who's the catcher?
Yeah.
In the postseason. We're not there yet, but I'll just float it on the radar. Maybe set a reminder in 4 weeks to check back and see if that's a discussion that we're going to have.
On Turang's injury, just lastly, tell Murphy that day-to-day means maybe tomorrow, the next day at the latest. That doesn't mean we don't know, probably not surgery. Like, that's not what day-to-day means. Can you pass that along, please?
Yes, it's inconclusive. I think he's like trying to force positivity. Yesterday after there was some questions about the runners in scoring position and Turang's injury, and he's like, let's talk happy things. I'm like, buddy, but you just got swept.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got nothing for you.
But a massive win last night, a huge piece of positivity. I'm glad we got to talk about it, Curt. And just know that while many Brewers fans went to bed euphoric last night, I went to bed happy for the team, but deep down I was frustrated because I knew you were furiously having to remake your story. And that's really, for beat writers like you, that's what matters.
That's right. I can send you the story that got deleted if you really want.
For whatever reason, that does actually, I would love to know. I do find that thing very interesting. Curt, please rest and relax. You're on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us at this hour and finding some time for us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Is this the thing they continue to work through in the ninth inning, or is this thing we could see it maybe moving some lower leverage spots?
Give me another option. I mean, I think that I can't just say change in low leverage. I have to have other options. And, to be quite honest, none of those guys really are throwing the baseball great. That's just kind of the way it is.
Dave Roberts last night on Edwin Diaz. A couple more minutes on the Brewers. We're going to do a hard Packers reset, a professional reset, if you will. At 5 o'clock, we talk about the Packers kicker. And also Matt LaFleur with just a bizarre comment in his presser today. Not bizarre bad. I'm not going to hold it against Matt LaFleur or criticize him for what he said. We're going to try to piece it together because it was a weird comment. But a couple more minutes on the Brewers first. Appreciate Curt Hogg's time. He joined me earlier today on Bill's show. There's and you know what? Let's just give this to me one more time. It's Dave Roberts, the Dodgers manager. Just for posterity, please. Just are you gonna stop pitching Edwin Diaz? He's blown 3 saves this week, or like what's going on there?
I mean, I think that I can't just say change in low leverage. I have to have other options. And to be quite honest, none of those guys really are throwing the baseball great.
My name's Dave Roberts. I don't have enough good pitchers. When he says I can't just put him in low leverage, you can though. This is what's funny about the situation. This is why the Dodgers are different than the rest of baseball. If McGill goes sideways, we don't have to say if. It happened earlier this year. When your closer goes sideways, they're not pitching well, and they can't close games. You move them to low leverage. It doesn't matter who else you put in there. It doesn't matter. If McGill went sideways right now like Diaz has, you pitch him in the 6th, and you close with whoever. Uribe, Chad Patrick, Aaron, Joe Kunal. It doesn't matter. You just need to do someone else. It can't be him. So even if you have to pitch him earlier and pitch someone you're not, whatever, because whoever's pitching the 9th, guess what? They won't be Edwin Diaz, who's been terrible. And of course, the Dodgers paid him $7 million or $70 million because they don't care and it doesn't matter. More on that in a sec. Anybody else? It's just very rich to me that Dave Roberts says, well, then give me another good player.
Give me another option.
$1 billion team. I can't just
I think that I can't just say change in low leverage. I have to have other options. And, to be quite honest, none of those guys really are throwing the baseball great.
It doesn't matter. Pitch anybody. Pitch Vesia, pitch Tanner Scott, pitch Enrique. It doesn't matter. And it won't matter come the postseason. And that's what's annoying about the Dodgers. Can I play you 2 minutes of Sam Olber? He tweeted a video last night. I saw a lot of Brewers fans making fun of him, and I guess you can because of his Cubs angle. His point is correct, though, when talking about the Dodgers, the way they've built their team, and the way they are allowed to use Edwin Diaz in a way that no other team can, and certainly no other team would.
Thanks to the Dodgers, I'll be getting no sleep tonight.
Attaboy, Sam.
We talk about, the Dodgers, though, they're a great organization. They're great. Even though they have a lot of money, you got to give Friedman credit. They have a great system, this and this. Man, they're just a team that got a really, really great TV deal, okay? We get on Jed for missing guys. How do you give Kyle Tucker that much money and Edwin Diaz that much money? I'll tell you how, because it doesn't matter. You don't actually have to worry about their performance. You could just throw money at guys. It's unbelievable how bad those guys are, except it's the opposite of unbelievable because anybody knew that Diaz was probably going to be bad there and that Tucker was going to be bad there. And it just doesn't matter. And they keep running Diaz out. Why? It's not that they think it's the right move. They don't care. They're rather like, hey, let's see if we could get Diaz right. That'd be huge for the playoffs. If not, so what? Last year we played a 3-game series against the Reds. Who cares? If we have to close Suzuki again, we'll do that. If we have to close Glass now, we'll do that. Maybe we'll close Snell if we have to do that. We're golden. We just got Scooble. They don't care. They don't care. It's one thing for them to win the World Series, but it's another thing. They did this last year to the Cubs too, where they cost them. They couldn't win a game against the Brewers in the regular season, and then in the playoffs they embarrassed them and won every single game. And Snell looked like Sandy Koufax, and he didn't pitch the whole season. It's just ridiculous. I know Friedman's a great executive. I get it. How in the world can you tell me, oh yeah, we're going to give Tucker $240 million? What? After what he did at Wrigley Field last year? We're going to give Diaz 70. Are you kidding me? These guys, it just doesn't matter. And that's why it doesn't frustrate me that the Dodgers have a bunch of money from their TV deal. What frustrates me is that they don't have to try in the regular season. That's what bothers me. And that cost my baseball team tonight.
So that's the part at the end where Brewers fans, you want to make fun of Sam. That's fair. And I think he'll own it, right? It cost
my baseball team tonight.
I love Sam.
And that cost my baseball team tonight.
He's right about the Dodgers, though. I think a lot of us have come to terms with the fact that the Dodgers have more money. Some teams have more money. It's the way baseball is, the way it's always been. Now, the disparity from top to bottom hasn't always been that bad. So when people say, well, the evil empire Yankees, nobody ever complained about them. A, yeah, they did. But B, also the disparity from the top in the 90s to the median, to the average team was not nearly as big as it is now. So you have to factor that in. And also it just allows them to play differently. They can dick around with Edwin Diaz. They can rest Snell and Glass now all year. It doesn't matter. That's what's really that's really the problem. Less the money is they're playing by a different set of rules. 608-321-1670. Got about 2 minutes here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. Missed you, Matt in Cross Plains. How you been, brother?
Good evening, Matt in Cross Plains. I've been good. How about you? What's up?
Oh, I'm doing all right. The Cubs got a nice victory over the hated Cardinals today. And obviously, Sam Olver, right? That was saying that the Dodgers cost our team, my team.
My baseball team.
Man. Anyway, my baseball team. Yeah, I try to stay away from the we's and the, my and, the Cubs, they did really well today against the Cardinals. And, the Dodgers are infallible. The Dodgers aren't infallible. I think that's the right way to say that. But then he kind of made me change my tune a little there because, they don't really have to try in the regular season. And next thing you know, they're, fully stocked and loaded in the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to win this year. It's coming down to the Braves, the Cubs, or the Brewers that are going to be in the World Series on the NL side. So, we got a 1-in-6 shot of being right there, right? Or no, a 3-in-6 shot. I don't know.
That sounds about right. This does feel like a year. Matt, I got to run. I appreciate it. Here's my fear. Don't hold this against me. Sorry, Matt, I had to run. This is the year the Dodgers are going to trip up, and of course, it's going to be the year where the Cubs are really good and probably beat them. That's how I feel right now. Don't hold that against me. I'm going to cut that out of the podcast. I don't want proof on the record that I said that. But that's how I feel. Hour number 2, I want to do a reset on the Packers right after a 2-minute update from our sports director, Zach Halpern. Don't go anywhere.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers back home after falling to their preseason opener last night, 28-9 in Pittsburgh. Green Bay's only scoring came courtesy of 3 Trace Mack field goals, including 1 from 58 yards. Actually hit 2 from 58, but only 1 counted due to a penalty. While the offense struggled to find a ton of success, the game did provide Marshawn Lloyd an opportunity to be on the field for the first time since his rookie season. Running back had 13 yards on 4 carries.
Yeah, I felt good. Honestly, it's just getting back into it. I mean, that was something that knocking the rust off. Practice is good. It's good to practice, but you're not getting hit like you are in a real game. So I feel yeah, exactly. So I think that's the them having a great defense. Honestly, it was a good testament of everything that's been happening.
Packers back in the field for practice tomorrow morning in Green Bay. Their next preseason game comes a week from today in Denver against the Broncos. Turn to the Badgers. They finished up the second week of fall camp this morning with another practice. They're just a little more than 3 weeks out from the start of their season against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Brewers and Dodgers will continue their series tonight out in L.A. Milwaukee took the opener last night, scoring 3 runs in the ninth to shock the Dodgers, snap a 3-game losing streak. It allowed them to build their lead in the NL Central back to 4 games on the Cubs. Again, Crew and Dodgers tonight out west. First pitch is set for 9:10. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
See if Smack can turn it into points. Made one from 58 earlier, didn't count. This one from 58 does count, and it's good. And the 6th round pick, the rookie, with an outstanding kick. Very emotional about that. 7-6 now is the halftime score. But he also,
man, it was awesome. I think that was definitely the highlight of the night. Him hitting 2 58-yard field goals. So that was awesome. Making all his kicks. I'm happy for him. That was definitely the highlight of the night right there.
Fins up. It's Friday, the Wisco Sports Show. Jordan Love commenting on Trey Smack's night last night. Get into the Packers. Mike Clemens going to join us towards the end of the show. Matt LaFleur made an interesting comment in his presser earlier today. I want to get to that. But first, reacting to the Packers preseason opener tonight, I'll continue to take your calls on a Free Phones Friday as well, 608-321-1670. I think the big stories today from the Packers preseason opener would have only been negative, meaning I don't think there was a world in which we were going to come in today and lose our minds and be crazy and talk a lot about something good happening. You know what I mean? Because any of the players on offense that looked good were only going to look good for a drive, maybe 2, and vice versa. So if Lucas Van Ness had a baller night, what does that mean? A sack and a TFL, and then he's probably out of there. You know what I mean? Because they force a punt. So I don't think any player was going to be so great, or I don't think any part of the team was going to be so dominant last night where we're going to come in and talk about how great they were. I just don't think that was possible in a preseason game. The only way we were going to come on the radio today and lead the show, considering especially what the Brewers did, and lead the show with a huge preseason game take, those only topics were bad. Trey Smack being really bad, would have been a big deal tonight. And I'm glad that didn't happen, because that would have been boring radio. It would have been lame radio. Maybe it wouldn't have been boring, but it would have been lame. If Jordan Morgan looked really bad at left tackle, got blown up a couple of times, we'd be talking about that. That'd be a big deal. Or if anybody got hurt, most notably Marshawn Lloyd, but really any heavy playing time veteran contributing player. And a lot of them played last night. Christian Watson, Jaden Reed. I was driving home. I'm hearing on the radio Zaire Franklin's name and Xavier McKinney's name. I'm like, ooh, let's get this drive over with and get them out of the game. I understand they need some reps and it's good to be in a game environment, but let's speed this along. I think the only big time stories coming from last night were going to be negative. So there's little things, like we can nitpick Keyshawn Nixon kind of having crappy effort. It's kind of a continuation of who he is. I think he's a fine player. I think he's a fine corner. I think his attitude and his composure or lack thereof suck sometimes, which means, it's one thing to have a fine corner, but if that fine corner is going to be committing 15-yard penalties all the time or giving up on plays, then that's a problem. Because he's not talented and good enough to make up for that stuff with big-time splash plays. So we saw a little bit of a continuation of that last night. Lucas Van Ness making a nice play. We'll pick Mike Clemens' brain about that later on in the show. The O-line, I guess if you really want to dig in and talk about this guy, that guy, the other guy, we can talk about that. But I think because last night Trey Smack made the kicks he was expected to make and then some, Jordan Morgan represented, and nobody got hurt, I think most of the conversations and the topics coming out of the Packers preseason opener today are mostly positive and mostly secondary to any, catastrophic things. The Packers preseason, it would be best served if this preseason is not newsy, not a lot of headlines, not a lot of noise, because I think the only way that this preseason become noisy and impactful is if it's bad. Whereas if they were a young team starting a rebuild, well, of course, we're looking for big time positive stories, guys playing a lot. It's not really the type of team they are now. They're pretty well established. We know for the most part who's going to be playing here, there, everywhere. Now, maybe not left guard. We'll get to that in a bit. Matt LaFleur commenting on that today. But first, a call, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Darnell the Chump.
I figure this might be you, Darnell. Happy Friday. And I feel like I'm so transactional when you call in. Clemhead. I'm like, oh, Clemhead. Oh, Cone. I do enjoy your calls, and I'm excited when you call in, Darnell, but you're such a formal-sounding person that sometimes I'm like, hey, Darnell, what's going on?
Well, usually it's right when I'm finishing up with work. So, I try to be a professional all day at work, and sometimes that spills into my calls at the end of the day.
Sure,
so,
that extends through. I get you. Very proper.
Yeah. Hey, last night, first off, Trace Max. That was great. Great to see, especially considering all the crap that we heard over the past couple of weeks about basically every kick that he missed, right? I'm sure the guy is just like beating himself up every time he goes 3 for 5 in practice. He's like, dude, I get 5 chances to make a field goal over the course of a 3-hour practice, and that's what I get based on. I mean, to be fair, his job is to kick a football, like get good at doing that thing, and then we don't have to talk about it. I just wanted to say, like, it seems like Matt LaFleur is in mid-season form with his game control and like bleeding the clock and, runs on second down, second and long. Yeah, I think that we're really looking like we're like mid-season form there, play calling wise. So
did you really notice and take issue with Matt LaFleur things last night?
No, it was just funny because I'm watching with my wife and she's like, this is a boring game, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty damn boring game. Like I can't disagree with that. We're trying to see a couple of things. We're trying to see, what our backup offensive line is going to look like / maybe one starter, right? And that's pretty much it. Everything else is more or less established for this season. So yeah, really, we're seeing who can open up some holes in the run game, at least for the first couple drives there. And then we're seeing how's everyone holding up on pass protection on 3rd and 16. Like that's really all that I think the coaches were trying to get out of there, outside of who's going to be our 8th wide receiver and our 4th tight end. Like that's just how the preseason is. And I think my wife was expecting, lots of big plays and Hail Marys. And I'm like, that's not really what, maybe that's what preseason was when we were all kids.
Well,
but
Darnell, I got to say, she married you. She clearly has very high standards and very, she expects excellence in all aspects of her life. So if I was married to you, I would find preseason football to be a letdown as well.
Well, I appreciate that, Grant. But on top of that,
yes,
2 hours later, I know it is a Free Phones Friday. We kind of already went over the Brewers over the last hour, but
you're good.
Jackson Chirios made probably the best play he's made as an outfielder, at least in left field. And Contreras had to just spit in his face.
Yeah,
with that, like I was so frustrated with that play. Like, just you can strike out looking on every single at bat, and you can do all this crap, but just when you're a catcher, catch the ball.
Yeah,
play at home plate.
Real talk for a second. Yeah, people would say that's a very it's a big oversimplification. That's actually a really good point. If there's anyone on the field who's best equipped to receive a baseball, it should be the catcher.
Right. Especially on a perfect throw. Like, okay, was it a little bit of an in-between hop? Maybe. He's thrown it from 200 feet away.
Yeah.
Come on, like we just have to do what we can do here, and it just Contreras just pissed me off, and I'm glad that they won.
Hey, don't be so negative. This is what I've been trying to fight against today. Darnell, have a good weekend, okay? I'll give you some Brewers takes here. We'll get more into the Packers as this hour comes along after our first break. On Contreras, he needs a night off. He's been terrible. And honestly, I'm not going to go that far. I was going to say I don't like him. I do. I like him as much as any baseball player. He's really bad right now offensively. And that's bleeding over into his defense. And it's further, I'll use this word for a second time during the show, exacerbating his pitch calling issues, which have never been awesome, but it seems like this week they've been as bad as ever. All around, he's struggling and pressing right now. Murph needs to give him a night off. And I know that Contreras probably wants to play through it. And Murph said so last night. He's not going to come out of it by not playing. He might, though. Like that, that does occasionally work. Remember a couple of years ago when Willy Adames was slumping and then he got like a day and a half off and all of a sudden interesting. Willy Adames looks better today. Imagine that. Day off maybe would help him just a bit. Just something to think about. So I think Murph and the coaching staff and the organization has to help Contreras a little bit and protect him from himself. But we have two instances now this week of either a Brewers pitcher in the case of Kyle Harrison, and I played you that audio last night. I won't further beat that dead horse. Although I don't think it's a dead horse. I think it's the horse is alive. It's taken a lot of kicks because, William Contreras keeps really doing a bad job calling pitches. This is Pat Murphy last night. So the second example we have on the record this week of Brewers personnel, uniformed, whether it be player or manager, calling out pitch selection and calling from William Contreras.
Once the at bat, did you get a sense from the dugout that maybe he was looking for a heater?
There's a lot to that at bat. I was hoping they'd break a ball in the dirt or a cutter in the dirt, but I knew Muncy was swinging. And I'll just leave it at that.
Hey, anytime someone says, I'll just leave it at that, or that's all I'll say about that, that means I have more to say, but I'm not going to. I could say more. I could keep going, but I won't. That whole thing. So this is the second time Kyle Harrison being pissy that he gave up a double to Cronenworth with 2 outs, a lefty, with that fastball in his arsenal, throwing a sinker down and inside. And then last night, it didn't come up in the post game because it didn't ultimately hurt him. Throwing a sinker to Shohei Ohtani in that spot is insane. And throwing no breaking balls to Max Muncy, who is a guy who will swing out of his shoes and just try to hunt fastballs, which is exactly what William Contreras delivered via Santatella. Contreras needs a night off. He just needs a night off. Just give him a night off. He shouldn't play tonight. And it's a little tricky because, between Bowers and Vaughn, like one of them's got to play first and one of them's maybe got to play third unless you want to play Bay, and I don't think they want to do that, and I don't think Durang's going to be in the lineup tonight. So it's tricky. I understand. It's not an easy time to get William Contreras a night off, but then again, what's the difference? I don't think he has a hit since Saturday. He took a couple walks last night, but he also had a couple brutal strikeouts. His average is down to 257. How is his average still at 257? His slug's at 377. My God. By the way, Gary Sanchez I believe, has 10 home runs. William Contreras has 11. So I'm not trying to drag the guy. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Just saying. Could be benefiting from a night off. Mike Clemens is going to join us next. A couple segments as the second hour of the show continues. I do want to play you this from Matt LaFleur earlier today. Asked about left guard. The question for Matt Schneidman, and Matt Schneidman kind of directly asks him, does not really leave any room for an answer one way or another. Is Aaron Banks going to just slide right in at left guard when he comes back, or is this going to be a real-time competition? Is it going to be an actual legit competition for him to earn this job back?
Is Banks going to get that left guard job back when he's healthy, or is Burton maybe making your guys' decision?
I think he's going to make it extremely difficult. I think Jagger has done a really good job. I think not only him, but Monk. And so, he hasn't been out there, so it's hard to say.
Matt, did he have a procedure done between the offseason program and the start of camp? Because he was talking about how healthy he felt in OTAs.
I'll let him answer that.
That is odd. This is not a critique or a criticism of Matt LaFleur. This is not me saying, why is Matt LaFleur such a whiny? Why is he at the podium? No, Matt LaFleur has made a choice here to very directly say, no, Banks is making it difficult for himself to keep his job because Burton looks awesome and Monk looks good, and Banks is hurt again. He's not out there. I don't know if you've heard this, by the way. The best ability is availability. So I understand that. He's sending a message and he's hyping up his young players. No, he's going to have to fight to keep that job. I don't understand this.
Did he have a procedure done between the offseason program and the start of camp? Because he was talking about how healthy he felt in OTAs.
I'll let him answer that.
Why will you let him answer? I think he's just annoyed. He's like, I'm done talking about this. Talk to him. I don't want to spend time up here talking about him. Go talk to him. He'll tell you. Or I don't care. He might tell you, might not. I don't care. This is my problem right now. I'm not going to spend time worrying about a guy who just is never available to play. Season hasn't even started yet. He's on the pup. And just go talk to him. I am done talking about it. It's just very odd.
I'll let him answer that.
I'll let him answer that. Okay. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, we got a football game to talk about.
Correct.
Happy Friday.
Correct, Vagabond. Happy Friday.
So I'm at birthing class last night. Of course, the class runs from 6 to 9 p.m. We got to go learn about what to expect at the hospital.
Is it a one-time class or is this a
4 Thursdays in a row? Appreciate you asking.
6 to 9, 4 Thursdays in a row?
There's a lot of information, man. Hopefully you'll get there. You'll learn someday. It's like, I was as skeptical. Look, I got college credits for being an infant lifeguard. I went to school to be an elementary school teacher. I know a lot about kind of the process that you'd think like, oh, the average parent probably doesn't know this thing. I am still learning a ton. So if you're a dad out there or expecting dad and your significant other says like, hey, we got some prenatal classes to attend, drop everything and go because there's a lot of good information. So I'm not going to hate on it.
Okay.
But
all right.
This week happened to be in the directly, so I'm kind of catching up on Twitter. We're in St. Paul, Minnesota. We've got a couple other Packer fan couples in the crowd, so that was fun. We're all we got a 15-minute break. We're talking about Trace Mack, right? So quick, Rose and Thorne. Rose, obviously the kicker. Thorne, I know you'll probably say, well, it's the preseason. What are you going to get from it? But the reality is 14 teams played preseason games yesterday. The Packers were the only one to even get close to allowing 300 yards passing, and they allowed significantly over. So, yes, it's the preseason, but, man, that was tough. To me, it signifies the depth in the secondary is not where you might want it to be at this stage. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
The depth defensively.
Yeah, well, the depth or the scheme or something, right? The guys aren't tackling, a lot of big plays coming out, and like I said, 14 other teams played preseason games, and nobody gave up something like that. Even the 33-32 game from last week, I went back and looked. I'm like, is this normal? Because I feel like most preseason games, you see teams throw for like 200 yards max, and sure enough, no other team even got close. So is there, concern about the defensive depth here?
So I see people, Vagabond, have a good weekend, complaining about how Jalen Simpson didn't have a great night, fell over, that was a big play. Kitano Ladapo was playing safety, and I guess people were worried about that, and that's bad depth. I don't know, man. My excuse for the defense giving up that many yards is, well, the defense, they're vanilla. But actually, I saw that Jonathan Gannon was kind of scheming it up at the beginning. And to your point, if everyone's playing vanilla, why did the Packers give up so many more yards? I can't give you a good answer. Let me refer you to Andy Herman. He's going to watch the All-22 like 6 times this weekend. So go, not to just pass the buck, Vagabond. I'm sure maybe they could use another safety in another corner. Most teams could. So we will continue to monitor the situation. I'm sorry I can't give you much more than that on a preseason game. Apologies. Mike Clemens is going to join us next. We'll do a segment or two with him recapping what he saw in Pittsburgh last night. He will join us on the other side. Thanks to the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, it's good to get a win at home and feel that, especially it's our first time together. You know, just it's year one. You know, it's year one for me in this program. It was our first game. We have a lot to clean up, but the passing game, I know the numbers were pretty good, but I like the way our quarterbacks ran the offense, and that's a big thing. It makes it simple. I like the snap, of how we're going to play. So, that it's good to get that on tape. But for the most part, I thought this is a good start for us, and it's a good start.
Mike McCarthy last night after the game. Mike Clemens there to cover it all. I saw a picture of him and Aaron Rodgers looking very handsome, looking happy after last night's contest in the tunnel. The Bay Motel and Family Restaurant presents Mike Clemens. You're on Bill's show and on our network. They're a mile from Lambeau Field. Home-style cooking 7 days a week at the Bay Family Restaurant as well. Perfect right there. BayMotelGreenBay.com or give them a call, 920-494-3441. A little bit of a blast from the past last night, Michael. Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers, but not just those guys. Like James Camden's on staff in Pittsburgh. This is a little bit of a 2010, Packers-type reunion for you guys.
It was, and did you see pictures of that in the TV version? Did they talk about some of that?
A little bit, yeah.
Coach, well, it's just, I'm telling you, Grant, McCarthy is just in his element here.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a different guy last night.
Really?
Yeah, you know something? I thought he was a little bit on edge and kind of looking over his shoulder for 5 years working for Jerry Jones. And the Rooney family is so good, and they have made great choices, between Chuck Knowles and then Bill and then Mike Tomlin, 3 coaches in 30, 40 years and the trophies to prove it. And then they change and they don't hire a 35-year-old. They go with Mike McCarthy. One of the guys who may have been a reference for him was Aaron Rodgers. The other thing is like what Ed Policy, the Packers president, said, there's 10 teams that changed coaches. So that means, the pool for new head coach candidates was a little short last season as well.
Yep.
And this guy is just living the dream. And he is so in his element talking that Pittsburgh lingo. Pittsburgh's got all kinds of funny sayings like yous and thems and like they use up on the their lingo.
Yep.
A hot dog is called a glizzy, and the food and kind of culture thing like that. And he is so at home, and he looks so composed about this thing, and he's completely putting all of his experience into this gig. And and he brings I thought that some of those guys that he brought along to Dallas, like, dude, this is why you left Green Bay, because you weren't bringing in new blood. But James Campen is still a great offensive line coach. He's got Joe Witt as his assistant head coach. That's probably a guy that he's trying to groom. Joe Witt. Now, Joe Witt was a good defensive back coach for many years. Maybe his message got stale there toward the end. Patrick Graham is his defensive coordinator. Patrick worked in Green Bay for only a year, but the buzz was that guy's going to be a defensive coordinator someday. Yep. And he moved up the ranks, and now he's in Pittsburgh.
That was a name that we considered either 2 years ago or this last year when Jeff Hafley left and they needed to hire a replacement. I feel like Patrick Graham was on some of those lists. That's a name that we discussed. I think. Where did he come from? Sorry to put you on the spot, but now I'm reaxing all this information that once upon a time we talked about.
I think I remember that he was like assistant head coach for the Giants for a couple of years. And then he bounced.
He was last with the Raiders, but he was with the Giants before then. You're correct.
Yeah. So, good organization there. He had a couple of stints with them, but he also had a long run with the Patriots. I think after he left Green Bay. Yeah. Or before Green Bay. So, he had a lot of Belichick time there and a couple of rings from that time. That guy's in Pittsburgh now. And so to talk to McCarthy last night, now McCarthy had a bunch of penalties, and a half dozen of them were personal foul penalties. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what? I don't care, because I want play style. Play rowdy. Oh, okay. Because you remember penalties killed them, the Packers on offense.
Oh, yeah.
That's the pre-snap stuff. But if you're
not much has changed. Maybe that's just a Green Bay thing. That might not necessarily be a McCarthy thing in hindsight,
You're right. That's a good point. Maybe that was a Ted thing, right?
Sure.
Maybe that was a Ted thing. And maybe Gutekunst is into that as well. Whatever the case, he's doing that. Here's another name that he brought up was, his defensive coordinator that got him the Super Bowl was Dom Capers. Mm-hmm. A guy was like in his 50s. You know where Dom Capers' history is? The 70s. Yes.
Yeah.
And the zone dog blitz, with Lambert and Hammond, those guys. So the thing about Dom is you'd say, wow, this guy's like this bloodthirsty linebackers, old school. Well, and then you'd say, well, how come Clay Matthews and Julius Peppers don't have the sacks? And Dom would quietly tell you in the hallway when we used to have these one-on-one meetings instead of them being streamed, that he goes, look, with the penalties you get, if you hit the quarterback too late or below the waist and all that, the idea is to speed up the offensive clock. That's all you want. You want pressure. Mm-hmm. You want the quarterback to do things that he doesn't want to do and make him uncomfortable. That's the point of the blitz, is to pressure the quarterback. If you hit him, great, bonus, whatever, kill him. But that is in football games. It's the quarterback making a mistake and not doing the play that he wants, not letting the play develop deep down there. That's what the secondary, that's what the safeties. So you start hearing that. And then you hear, talking to McCarthy after the game last night about some of the things that he saw that he was encouraged by. And with the Patrick Graham, now, there was that one blitz they had with this Izzy Makumbo. He was a safety, number 30. Mm-hmm. He came crashing down and just killed the third-string quarterback, Kyle McCord. And so McCarthy was asked, what are you doing, blitzing during the preseason? I thought coaches aren't supposed to do that.
As a young head coach, I can remember sitting, with Dom Capers, back in 2009 when he came to Green Bay. And, because there was a time where you didn't pressure in preseason and, as though who's that guy that's running all the pressures. And Dom taught me this, and it holds true. There's a tempo and a speed, there's an attitude, there's a finish in being a pressure team. And if you wait till the regular season to start calling them, you're not going to have the success that you would if you call them in the season. You got to call your pressures in the preseason. So, and frankly, as an offensive guy, I love it when you can pressure me out. You can pressure us as much as you want. So I'm all for it. It's good for all of our guys are trained for it. Maybe the third game, maybe let the younger guys play. That type of thing. But I think pressure is a good thing because defensively, there's a falsehood with pressure. You're going to run free and hit the quarterback. That's not the reality of it. We're trying to create one-on-one, opportunities. And, and when you bring that extra player, there's a time clock to it, and so I think it's important for us to pressure, and that was part of our plan tonight.
Gannon dialed up a couple of things early on. It wasn't completely and totally vanilla. I think both DCs did a little something, maybe Pittsburgh a little more. Matt LaFleur, the only part of his postgame presser I found interesting was him talking about Kyle McCord's 2-minute drive going into halftime. And I know that's, something that you had on your list as well. I don't know, for a third-team guy who doesn't have a lot of reps and certainly hasn't drilled that, I thought that was one of the more impressive parts of the actual football game, which might not mean a whole lot, but, we watched it. Here we are.
Well, they get to fourth down. They're 58 yards away from a field goal, and LaFleur calls it a field goal team, and the new special teams coordinator says, no, we can't do 58 yet. Go ahead. Go ahead. And, Trey Smack makes the kick, so LaFleur talked about that moment last night.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't see.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, you wanted
I'm
LaFleur.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Do you want LaFleur? We can skip McCord. We can go to LaFleur if you want. That's fine.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we converted on a third down versus man coverage where he hit Jaden Reed. Wish we could have got the other third down. I thought Trey Smack going in there hitting a 58-yarder, and as Cam was telling me no, I told him yes. But to put him in that situation and to hit really 2 in one game is pretty incredible. So I thought he was definitely a bright spot for us.
Interesting that the head coach tells the special teams coordinator no. I don't know what to do with that, but it is interesting, Mike.
Yeah. So Trey Smack was, the player of the night, your kicker, because he's, after a rough start to camp and frankly in the off season, and then he gets like 20 questions. And after the huddle immediately leaves, I said, because he's like, what is going on? I'm just a kicker. It's set plan kick. All these questions. I said, do you understand? You come from this line of Ryan Longwell and then Mason Crosby. Brandon McManus has sort of, saved the day there for about a year and a half until he missed 3 in a playoff game. And so I asked him about this, does he understand that he's part of that legacy? And he reminded me that Ryan Longwell was at practice this Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to Ryan this past week, and we were talking about how to be successful in Green Bay, and he was going over some things with me. And, just talking to those guys just gives me a better understanding of, what's Green Bay really about and how to kick in there.
As a kicker, Mike, you're a little bit on an island. It's not like there's 3 or 4 other kickers on the roster in your position room that you can lean on and talk to. So I'm sure talking to anybody who's done that job has got to be helpful for a young guy.
So the ones on offense, led by Jordan Love, did get a 10-play drive in. It was actually extended because they attempted and made that 58-yard field goal, but then the Steelers had another penalty on them, so that extended the drive, and he still came back with like a 37-yard field goal. And so Jordan Love talked about how about your rookie kicker, Trey Smack, and how he performed 3 for 3 last night.
Man, it was awesome. I think that was definitely the highlight of the night, him hitting 2 58-yard field goals. So that was awesome, making all his kicks. I'm happy for him. That was definitely the highlight of the night right there.
Jordan Love saying, hey, if I throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in a playoff game, if he could do that to, help us secure the win, that would be great. Getting a little bit of that. If I was Jordan Love, that's what I would be thinking. Mike Clemens is here. Thanks to the Bay Motel. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Going to break more sound, more reaction, and coverage from Pittsburgh with Mike as we start to wind down Bill's show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Thought it was great to get back out there and play some football. Certainly a lot of good tape to evaluate. Obviously a lot of things that we need to clean up moving forward, but I was pleased with the effort. We just got to execute a little bit better and find ways to take the ball away and not give up as many explosive plays as we did.
Matt LaFleur after the game last night says he liked the effort. Execution maybe wasn't there. I also think, are you really dialing up plays to get the best possible result? Maybe. I think Gannon dialed up a little bit more than I expected for a preseason game last night. Mike Clemens here. Thanks to Bay Motel and Family Restaurant in Green Bay. Mike, were you pleased with the effort last night? Did that jump off the field to you at all as you watched in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, especially the start of the game. I saw speed.
Okay.
I saw, hats to the ball carrier, guys swarming, all that. I saw some comeback plays, like if maybe they made a missed assignment that we'll talk about. And I've got Lucas Van Ness talking to us for the first time in camp. I haven't figured out why this guy doesn't come to us more often. Micah Parsons is trying to shove him to the center of the stage and under the spotlight, and not only take over on the field, but take over as a leader. And he doesn't seem to want a part of that. Now, he took his teammates out for a big time dinner the night before, and the guys were teasing him but thanking him at the same time. As we went to Lucas's locker, and he said, "Okay, go ahead, come on over," because besides the score, 28-9, and they held off the Steelers' offense until late in the third quarter. Then it was slop time, but they gave up 385 yards. Packers offense only put up 160. So I had this conversation with Lucas Van Ness, your edge, to talk about first time in camp that he talked to us, and what did he think was the biggest value for that defense first time under Jonathan Gannon?
I think the most important thing with these preseason games is just kind of getting the opportunity. At this point, we're 3-4 weeks into camp. You just want to hit a different color, a different jersey, and just get out there and kind of knock the cobwebs off. So for me, even though it was 3 plays, I felt like, as I kind of alluded to earlier, even the first play of the day, I kind of came out with red eyes, and I had a misalignment. So for me, it's like the second play could have been great or was great, but I look at where I got to improve and where I got to be better, and you learn from there. So it is quick, but I was saying it's not a bad thing when the defense goes 3 and out.
What went well? What felt?
What went well, again, like I said earlier, like the first play, I had a misalignment. So that's just, first play of the game. It's just, you got to start fast. And I had to run my way. I think if I'm lined up correctly on the edge and I get vertical and I set the edge, it's a TFL versus a 4-yard gain. So, again, it's little things like that you may look at the positives on the play after. But for me, it's working on the negatives and just working to, put a full game together. So short snaps, but, it felt good to get a 3 and out, and then we just got to build off of that.
So I can't tell about those assignments, but I see speed, a lot of hats to the ball, too.
Yeah.
Did you feel that?
I did, yeah. I think we, it wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but I think we saw that all night, and it's something that we've really made a point of emphasis this year is swarming to the football, our conditioning, motor and violence has kind of been our keyword throughout camp. And, just when you pause that tape at the end, you want to see all 11 guys, all 11 hats of the football. I think you saw that tonight, that first play, 3 and out. I feel like we were flying around, guys were moving fast, just not thinking too much, and just snap the ball and just going. So it was fun to get back out there again and play football again, and it was a good night.
Are you buying Lucas Van Ness as an individual, as a man, as a ball, just the whole package, Mike? As you get a read of this guy, did you buy his trajectory going any farther this year than maybe it has in the past?
Tremendous athlete. He's studied, so I think he's got the assignments down. Okay. There's something missing in terms of confidence.
Okay.
There's something missing in terms of, he's playing with badasses. Like Micah Parsons. He's playing a league of badasses, and he's a nice guy from the suburbs of Chicago, playing in a league of badasses. That's the only thing I can think of in terms of him just sort of fitting into this league. Otherwise, the sky's the limit for him. One guy who's really performing is this Brandon Cisse, that you're your top pick at defensive back. Now, he made some mistakes in coverages as well, but this guy is gold. So far, and just his attitude, and when you see him flash and make a play wearing that number 2 jersey, and we talked about his performance after the game last night. He had a whiff on a 4th down play that he was kicking himself.
Just first one was just taking a bad angle, saw the DN outside, try to shoot inside, just trying to be an athlete at that point, but just got to take a better angle, got to be outside, got to be the force of defense. So when the opportunity came back up again, just kind of still got sucked up, kind of still on the other side of the field. But just having the ability to go out there and make a tackle like that and help us get out the field on 4th down.
As a rookie, you kick yourself for missed plays like that, Mike, in a preseason game because you might only be in there a couple of series. So you get one chance to make a play and you whiff it. You might have to wait a week or you might not have another opportunity to make a play like that the rest of the preseason.
One guy that looks like a great free agency add to the secondary is Benjamin St. Juste from the Commanders, who, it was number 10 from the Steelers, Caden Wetjen, a rookie that they picked up out of Iowa. Very fast kid. Somehow he broke through the slot area and went 74 yards. And here's the veteran, St. Juice, catching him from behind and bringing him down. And I talked to him about that play and, what you listen to this guy's voice, and you saw his speed. For 28 years old, you saw his speed last night chasing down that rookie.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that's the basics of a defense, play style, violence, motor, getting around the ball and being violent, tackling down. Like, you have to have that on a defense to play. Otherwise, you're not going to play. After that, other things like scheme and execution and plays, we can change that. But you got to be violent. You got to run to the ball. And, you got to have, effort. You got to give effort every play. And I think we show that.
St. Juice seems to be a correction of maybe what they were trying to do with Hobbs last year. You know what I mean? Like they just, to me, I read it as, okay, we had the right idea. We signed the wrong guy.
Yeah.
So maybe they've course corrected here.
You're spot on with that. And also it's making Carrington Valentine nervous. Like, well, where are my snaps going to be?
Sure.
Where are my snaps going to be? Offensively, Marshawn Lloyd, he only had 4 carries. It felt like he had more. He had the one reception that was actually a tackle for the loss. But I love the way he attacked, the hole. And he's one of those guys where you get in the ball 6-7 times and he's going to bust one. And I said, how'd that feel for you, Marshawn?
Yeah, I felt good. Honestly, it's just getting back into it. I mean, that was something that, knocking the rust off, practice is good. It's good to practice, but you're not getting hit like you are in a real game. So I feel yeah, exactly. So I think that's them having a great defense. Honestly, it was a good testament of, everything that's been happening.
Reminds me of Garrett Mitchell, Mike. So the Brewers, this guy can't stay healthy. So this year he actually has an opportunity to have some success, to struggle a little bit, to work through the success, to tweak this, to adjust runway. And I think it's the same with Marshawn Lloyd. So you played in a game. Now you have a chance to recover, to attack this or that at practice, to check this on film. Like, this is just something he hasn't been able to do as a pro so far.
And we're looking for Lloyd to hit a home run like Garrett.
Ideally.
Tyrod Taylor had a couple of deep passes that just didn't quite connect, timing, like tried to hit, he had Sky Moore open on one. He was 4 for 8, but this Kyle McCord, a couple of weeks ago, Leish and I were there, and I said, I like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy can be a quarterback, man. This is one they're going to hang on to. And I think he's passed up, the other guys that they had in this spring. And so we asked Jordan Love about, how Kyle McCord looked going 12 for 16, 100 yards, played about 2 quarters and a quarterback rating of 91. Here's what Jordan Love said.
Yeah, I think he did some good things. I think that was another highlight right there, being able to go down with, 37 seconds, something like that, put together a, efficient 2-minute drive, get us to field goal range for Trey to be able to hit that. So that was huge. That's what we worked so much during training camp and practice of these 2-minute situations. So for him to be able to go out there, execute, all the guys out there, be able to execute that, was huge. And I think, he did some really good things, and it's all about building up from here.
And more impressive for a guy who hasn't not only taken snaps with the ones, probably hasn't even taken that many snaps as a backup or with the twos in camp. I mean, how often have you seen Kyle McCord get reps with the group during scrimmage or during situations, Mike, quick before he take a break?
I thought he looked really comfortable out there, and especially off schedule, rolling out and not losing sight as to where the target was, and taking another couple more steps until he got a good passing lane to get there. That stuff is all natural. So I think 18 looks pretty good as a QB3 for sure.
And we got a minute, so just give me 30 to 60 seconds. What did you see with Tyrod Taylor last night specifically?
An arm. Still got a gun, man. There's a couple of deep passes that he threw. And, he's learning the offense. And I think he's still learning the players out there. So, in terms of a mix of a first and second team offense there, timing, just a timing, that kind of thing. But, he could probably save the day for you if Jordan Love, has a thumb injury again. He could probably at least keep you in the game. And that's why, you always want to have a good running game to get you through those periods, right?
That would be the dream this year, unlike last year. Mike, we'll take one more break here, wrap up the final segment of Bill's Show coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Not only going out to Wisconsin and the great Midwest, we're going around the world tonight, Parrot Head.
Fins up, it's Friday. Last couple of minutes. Appreciate Mike Clements' time. Recorded with him a little bit earlier today. He has to travel back from Pittsburgh. He wasn't available the wee hours of the evening. Let's take a call here before we get to our weekend review. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Well, things ain't always what they seem. Fins up, Grant. It's Mad Max and the Tunnels Under Racine.
Fins up, Mad Max. What's going on?
Yeah, just wanted to call. I know it's getting late. I wasn't sure if you could still take my call, so thank you for that. But
of course.
Just wanted to chip in one last time since you're off for a week. But yeah, I didn't watch any of the Packers game last night. I was believe it or not, my chud self was actually hanging out with a woman and having a nice dinner and hanging out with her. And the game was on, and I hardly paid attention to it, which is nice for me because being down in the tunnels and fighting the cabal, I don't see women very much. It's kind of a good old boys club down there, and even the even the so-called women down there, you find out pretty quickly that they're not usually women or even human for that matter. But that's a topic for another day. But yeah, but the Brewers game last night, though, I mean that was probably the most fired up I got watching a Brewers game, all year. Just I was kind of treating it like it was a playoff game, just the lowest of the lows, the highest of the highs. So that was good to see us pull it out, and sort of felt like it might have been a season saver, as crazy as that is to say for a team that had the best record in baseball. But things really were starting to look dicey, and they turn it around. And as far as the Packers go, I don't think there's really anything I could have seen last night, just kind of catching up and getting a summary of the game that would have changed how I feel. I'm still on Fire LaFleur team. I'm still on Team Fire LaFleur until further notice.
Of course.
And that would have been different. I mean, that wouldn't have changed even if we had won by 30 points. But I don't think there's anything in particular. I know some callers earlier were nitpicking little things that LaFleur does, and they're like, "Oh, he's in midseason form already." And I don't think you can really judge that based on the first game of the preseason.
No, I would agree with
Darnell?
you. It was Darnell. No, I agree with you, Mad Max. I got to run. We got to get to our weekend review. It was nice to hear from you. I'll talk to you in a bit, okay?
Thanks, Dan.
Mad Max in the tunnel. He doesn't have time to date. Poor Mad Max. Look, if you want to rip LaFleur, there's always ammo to be found. There's always ammo to be found. Here's this week's weekend review before we run out of time.
Grant, Tony from Texas. Always good to hear from Kate Fox. Do we know if Kate Fox's mom is single, Grant?
I do not think so. I think they have a very nice nuclear family structure.
Oh, okay. I won't go there then.
and the 30-mile drive I had to the stadium today, rolled in beautiful rolling hills till you get down to the river, very much like lacrosse, only on a bigger scale.
Sure.
And then when you get to the game, man, they are loud and boisterous, and many of them Italian folks, and and that's just the women.
It's election day. It's a primary day, so make sure you get out and vote today. Do your civic duty. I went and voted before Bill's show this morning. Didn't like any of the candidates, so I wrote in Tommy Thompson's name. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't vote. No, I'm kidding. I did vote. I did. You should vote as well. Go do your civic duty.
It's a Friday, Grant. I'm in Porto, Portugal, and I'm drunk off my ass.
Isn't it like midnight there?
Something like that, yeah. I've been drinking all day, man. They got this green wine called Vino Verde, and I've been sipping on that. I've been hopping on a boat ride, and I just called in to say, F the Cubs, man.
Is this considered a Green and Gold Thursday, or is that going to be a Green and Gold Friday?
No, this will be a Green and Gold Thursday. Tomorrow, why not? Green and Gold Thursday and Friday. F it, why not?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it's preseason for the listeners, too, so we're not used to this.
Preseason for everybody. I agree. I appreciate that, Cone Roller. I'm still recovering from Mad Max saying it's a bit of a boys' club down here in the tunnels. Yeah? Not a lot of women down in the tunnels, even when there are women. Sometimes they're not women. Glenn Grothman can still be found down there, basically without fail, though. Glenn Grothman always down there, especially if there's a buffet. Maybe charcuterie, pizza, like at the end of a wedding. Glenn Grothman can always be found in the tunnels. I'll be off next week. Show will be a bit of a compilation of some of the best segments of Ebo's show. Bill's show. It'll be a little bit of a Wisco Sports, so just compilation next week. Excited to be back. Not that excited, but I will be excited to be back a week from Monday. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening.